Pick up here in this third and final episode of our trip up the coast back home to San Francisco, having left San Simeon at daybreak and going about 75 miles north to Monterey. By leaving early in the morning, we can usually complete this leg in about one daylight period and get a good night's sleep in Monterey Harbor.
Un coin tranquille, peut-être une île, vie indocile.
Here we are about halfway to Monterey, cruising along the Big Sur coastline. This is generally a challenging section of coast to go north along, but when it's not trying to kill you, it can be one of the most beautiful pieces of the California coast. As beautiful as it is on this day, we still have wind and current against us, making it slow going.
God damn it, the wind is still coming directly from our waypoint.
Well, you know how sailing goes. Wherever you want to go, don't point the boat that way. Point it some other way.
Yeah, that's our waypoint right there.
Straight into the wind.
La nuit défile dans mon exil, un coin tranquille. Quand t'as peur, je tremble aussi, et puis parfois je fuis. Mais voilà, je suis là, pour toi et moi, un funambule au bout du fil. Un coin tranquille, peut-être une île.
Most cruising guides generally recommend that you go about 2 miles offshore around Point Sur to avoid potentially shifting sandbars and breaking waves. Even on a calm day like this, I tend to observe that advice just in the event that there might be a random wave or two and we get caught inside. Having reached that 2-mile mark, here we are finally making our tack and getting a pretty decent angle all the way up to Monterey Bay. You can see here Point Sur in the distance. It's known as a false point, meaning that there's land offshore, a gap of water, and then the mainland itself. The other thing you can see here in the distance is a heavy marine layer sucking up close to the coastline right in front of us. Once we had gotten to Carmel, it was really socked in. We were going around one of the close points that we've been around before, thankfully, but even a short distance off to our starboard side, where there are breaking waves in the shallows, looking outside, we couldn't see that distance all the way to shore. We are extremely thankful to have radar and GPS on this trip. Finally, making our way around the point just outside of Monterey Bay, we turned in, broke out of the fog, and got to see the beautiful little city right on the coastline. This time visiting Monterey Bay, we stayed at the Monterey Peninsula Yacht Club, where we were welcomed by some good friends, and over the coming days, we're able to make even more good friends down in Monterey Bay. Thank you to them for hosting us for a few days while we make our way up the coast of California. after having made it to Monterey, it was time to take a break. And boy, what a beautiful place to take a break.
Skies are so clear with you. I wanna stay with you. With you. I love the way that you love me today. Let's run up through the fire.
Here we have the Committee Against Purple Sea Urchin having their daily strategy meeting.
With you, I wanna stay with you. It's been so cold since you have been gone. Like
Our friend Rich Beach lent us his Boston Whaler, saying that he had put too much gas in the tank and asking us if we could please go use some. We didn't ask any questions. Ira got behind the wheel and decided to show me how it feels to take photos from the bow of a Boston Whaler going 15 to 20 knots.
400 to the left, off, and get it done.
it's been so cold since you have been gone.
This is a smooth enough ride for me.
Like I was told you.
Separate from the Purple Sea Urchin Committee, here's the one otter. It's part of the ostracized Fur Washing Committee.
Take my hand and fly up to the clouds where the skies are so clear. With you.
We also had an unexpected but heartwarming encounter with Hokulea on their trip down the coast of California.
I wanna stay with you.
After our time in Monterey, it was time to get back on the road going north, back home to San Francisco. If you can't tell so far, the general attitude about going up the coast of California, especially the central and northern coasts, is essentially to get it over with. One of the things that we found a benefit, and what happens quite frequently in the Monterey Bay, is an early morning exhale that pushes wind offshore. Here we are motor sailing with the main up, making about 9 knots or so as quickly as we can, back up north before the wind turns around to its prevailing northwesterly direction, and we have to beat into it for the rest of the day. This is what a Northern California glass-off looks like. We feel that we were fairly lucky, especially given the timing in November and the potential for larger storms going along the coast of California during this time, that we encountered such good weather, no storms, just the usual northwesterly winds and a southbound current to fight. If you can't tell from the music or the bumpers still on deck, we were fairly exhausted by this point in our trip north. That's Half Moon Bay that was out in front of us, and we did not stop there, though I wish we had. Instead, we decided to press on around Pilar Point and try to get home to San Francisco before our favorite taqueria had closed, so that we'd be able to get tacos and burritos back in Point Richmond. And since this is a video about people on a boat, you won't be surprised to hear that just when we were right outside of the gate, about right here along Pacifica, our engine belt exploded. We thankfully had an extra on board, and we were able to fix it, but during the time that it was broken, we were rolling all over the place, without wind, without steerage, with tools strewn everywhere. We finally got a new belt back on, and I'm happy to say we made it back to Point Richmond just in time to get tacos and burritos. And as everyone else has said too many times before, including ourselves, it's always an incredible sight to re-enter San Francisco Bay under the Golden Gate Bridge, especially on a beautiful sunset night like this. And shortly after returning to the bay, winter officially started.